time for the NCAA basketball tournament. Great time of year, guys. Next 3 weeks are going to be fun watching all the basketball games. I'm Eric Stark, joined with Mike Gross from the Sunday News and former Lancaster sports writer and all-around good guy, Gordy Jones, with us today. And talking tournament, and let's first talk about, did the committee get it right? Did they get the right teams in here? Who should have made it, and who, were you disappointed to see maybe not?
Well, I'm a fan of letting the smaller schools in, letting the smaller conference schools in. I'm a fan of rewarding teams for having had a great season. To me, Arizona, 13 losses, they lost 5 of the last 6. Did not have a great season. I think it's absurd that they were even in the same area code as the bubble. Forget the bubble. I mean, but it's no big deal. And the key thing to remember about this is on Thursday they'll start playing games, and all this will be forgotten.
Yeah, it's good banter for Monday, Tuesday.
It really is. Yeah.
What about you, Gordy? Who jumps out?
Well, St. Mary's is the one, I guess, that a lot of people mention. They didn't have their best player, Patty Mills, for I think it was 6 games, and that hurt them ultimately. But at the same time, I mean, what are we talking about here? We're not talking about teams that are going to win the championship.
No, we're not.
So it gets back to that. I mean, yeah, it is an early week discussion, but does it really matter in the grand scheme? Probably not.
St. Mary's have won 13 road games this year. You got to give them credit for that. Team I'm going to go with is Penn State. Great year this year. Beat Michigan State at Michigan State. Beat Illinois twice, but their non-conference schedule was ranked 311th, so not quite good enough. I think maybe Temple winning their conference title and also Mississippi State winning their conference title.
Yeah. But that happens every year. If you're the 6th best team in your conference and you played nobody out of conference, I don't have any sympathy for you.
Right. And it's, as we talked about before we went on, it's sort of a save the job kind of schedule for Ed DeChellis. Like, let's get some wins and let's buff up the record that way, and it didn't help them tournament-wise though, and you can see how that would happen. I mean, all the games count equally. I mean, I think the tournament chairman made that point just about how those games in November and December mean as much for your resume as the ones toward the end.
I think that might be something that has changed in the last year or two with this current committee. They really seem to emphasize every game counts going back to November.
That's a good point. Let's talk a bit about the games. Starting in the East, we got some good matchup. We got the number 1 seed in there. What do you guys think of number 1 and number 2 seed as well? Which out of that bracket, who's the number 2 here? We got Duke.
Yeah.
Duke. I'm gonna forget Duke. Do you like those seeds for them?
It's one of those things. I look at the tournament field, and it seems like I can mount an argument why teams shouldn't win as much as why a team should win. And Pitt, you go with the DeJuan Blair foul trouble. That's always cost them in all their losses this year, and it cost them in the Big East tournament. And you've got to feel that that's going to come into play at some point in the tournament.
And he's such a big, strong, aggressive kid that it's hard for him not to get in foul trouble.
As an aside, I can't decide if he's going to be like a sort of a Barkley-esque NBA player or a tractor-trailer NBA player.
Yeah, he has
that frame.
Maybe Larry Johnson in between that.
I don't know. I mean, Larry Johnson was a pretty athletic guy, but he just seems to have that frame where he could maybe, once he gets the NBA lifestyle, he could go tractor-trailer on us.
You don't want to go tractor-trailer.
We're ordering a whole pizza,
But to get back to our main point, I mean, Duke, I can make an argument against them that they just don't have enough bigs to get it done. I mean, I think they have a nice team. I think Gerald Henderson's had a great year, and I think Krzyzewski's done a great job adjusting their lineup along the way to make them a more effective team. After they got blown out at home by Carolina, they changed the lineup, went small, and that's worked for them. But at the same time, at some point they're going to run into a team they don't match up well with at all.
They don't have a point guard who can penetrate, and they don't have a big guy who the defense has to pay attention to. I mean, you have to have those two things. I think Krzyzewski's done an unbelievable job with this.
Yeah, and the other thing is too. I mean, I think about Gerald Henderson, a great player, but when they had their great teams, they had like 4 guys like Gerald Henderson. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's really athletic and has really come into his own. But I think they're limited. I'm not sure I think this might be the softest region, although none of them are soft, but I mean I like Pitt for just because I don't like anybody else as much as I like Pitt.